Okay, my name is Sir Jeremiah Christopher. Okay, from Erukea, Tanzania. Now, I'm in front to continue with our lesson. Last session, we have been discussing about the population. So, let's now see Nigeria as our case study. Nigeria is among the countries that are found in the African continent. So, let's us now today to discuss about Nigeria population. In 1961 in Nigeria, 65% live in urban areas and 35% live in rural area. So these are the statistics that show how the population of Nigeria is distributed in the year of 1961. 65% most people of Nigeria lived in the town areas, while 65% live in the rural area. The population distribution of Nigeria is uneven, such that there are areas with high population density and areas with low population density. When we say uneven, we mean that there is different population from place to place. That means that there is areas that have high population and there is other areas that have low population. As we see in Nigeria in 1961, 65% lives in urban, while 35% live in the rural areas. So let's us now look what are the reasons that lead to the uneven distribution of population in Nigeria. The first point is physical factor. When we talk about physical factor, we mean things that here we are going to look the different things. For example, climate, such that some areas have favorable condition. Also, the nature of climate has influenced the distribution of population depending on the nature of the activities. This is tend to be factored to the fact that the areas that receive a heavy rainfall tend to have the high population because most people will engage in agriculture, while the areas that receive low rainfall, especially in the desert area, people that may not like to live there due to that area did not support the agriculture activities. So due to the little rainfall, that area tend to have the low population compared to the area that receive the high rainfall. Okay, another point is soil. Soil is among the factors that lead to the uneven population distribution in Nigeria. Here we are going to look in two sides. The first side is fertile soil and another side is infertile soil. The areas that have the fertile soil tend to attract most people to live there compared to the areas that have an infertile soil will not support agriculture since will not attract people to live there. So point to note here is that the area that have fertile soil tend to have the higher population since it supports the agriculture activities, while the areas that have infertile soil, the population tend to be low because that area do not support the agriculture activities. Another point is mineral deposit. When we talk about mineral, means that is a substance that is obtained underground. Minerals deposits such as more people are found in the area, mining taking place, unlike the area which are poor of resources. This is among the physical factors that lead to the uneven population distribution in Nigeria. The areas that have mineral resources tend to have the higher population since many people will engage to practice mining, while the area that have no mining resource tend to have low population since that area do not attract many people to live there. So due to that reason, the population tend to be low. Another point is water supply also has influenced the population distribution. As we know that water is among the key essential things in our society. Without water, I think the life will not be good at all, because water tend to be used into the different areas. For example, water can be used in the industry, also water can be used in domestic activities and etc. So let us look in Nigeria. Water supply how also has influenced the population distribution. There are many people near the river valley due to the supply of water for irrigation and for pastoralism, especially in the north. So as we look at the country of Nigeria, in the northern side, the population is high since many people engaged in agriculture. So they practice irrigation due to the presence of water, and others practice pastoralism. They engaged in keeping of animals. So in the north area of Nigeria, most people practice agriculture and pastoralism in general, since there is availability of water. So this area of North Nigeria tend to have the high population compared to South. Another point is political factor. Political factor here we're looking in two sides. How political factor act as a factor for the uneven population distribution in Nigeria. Here we're going to see that the areas that have political stable tend to have the high population compared to the areas that have political instability. The areas that have political instability tend to have the low number of people compared to the areas that have political stability, attracting people to live there. For example, Nigeria is a country of political instability since there are frequent civil war. Civil war here we are looking at the tribes. Also, we can say the tribes war. This is tribes. Also, we can say the tribes war. So there have led to some people keeping on moving from some place with conflict to place which are at least having peace. During the war, many people die. So political instability lead some people to migrate from one place to another for searching of peace. So in Nigeria, there are places that have higher population and there are places that have low population. So those areas that have high population, the political is stable, while those areas that have low population, the political is unstable. Yes, another point is places of towns. Places of town also attracting many people. Hence, there is high population in town compared to rural area. Here we're going to look those cities, those big cities in Nigeria. For example, Lagos have a large number of people. Due to that area, its infrastructure is well organized compared to those rural areas that are found in Nigeria. So due to the places of towns in Nigeria tend to attract people to live compared to the rural area. Many people are attracted to live town. So due to that, leading to the towns have the leading to town to have the large number compared to rural area, which contains a small number. This has been due to the rural-urban migration. The towns of Nigeria tend to have the large number of people due to the reason of rural-urban migration. When you say rural-urban migration, we mean that here people move from rural to urban. So when they migrate from rural to urban tend to have the large number of people due to the increasing number of people, while in rural still we have low population simply because people shift to the urban area. They go to the town since they expect obtaining job in the industry and other economic sector. The reason that leads for those people to migrate from rural to urban is for searching of jobs, for example, in industries, in trade, and etc. Also, in a town, they expect to get some social amenities like cinemas, that is for recreation purpose, education service, medical services, etc., which lack in the rural area. As we know that if the place is called a town, it means that developed in some services, for example, health service, water services, compared to the rural area, which there is shortage of social services. So many people think that in town area they have good social services, so they tend to be attracted to live at the town. Another point that leads to the uneven population distribution in Nigeria is transport and communication has influenced the population distribution in Nigeria. Here we're going to look on infrastructure. When we say transport, the movement of vehicle, both road transport, water transport, and air transport. We're going to talk about communication. Here we're focusing on phone. Here in communication, we look on how people communicate within the society. In Nigeria, there is high population where transport and communication service are available. So in Nigeria, those areas that have high population, tend to have the good transport and communication services. For example, along the railway roads and around the ports. Another reason is another point that leads to the uneven population distribution in Nigeria is religious factor. Also have contributed to the nature of population distribution in the country. For example, Muslims are concentrated more in the north, while most of the Christians are in the south. So religion is among the factors that lead to the uneven population distribution. As we see that in Nigeria, the most part of the northern part of Nigeria covered by the Muslim, while the southern part of Nigeria covered by the Christians. So this separation tends to one place to have the high population, while the other place to have the low population. So religion is among the factors that lead to the uneven population distribution in Nigeria. Okay, let us jump to see population data. When we talk about data, we mean refer to the body of information. Any body of information, we call it data. Population data refer to the information pertaining to population concerning some economic, social, and demographic matter. Population data refer to the summary of information that tell us about the population of the certain area by focusing on looking on different sectors like economic, social, and demographic matter. Okay, let us see now source of population data. Source of population data. They are divided into primary and secondary data. So in population data, there is two sources of data. The first one is primary data, and the second one is secondary data. Okay, let's now see what is primary data. Primary data or traditional sources. Primary data, in other words, you can call it traditional sources. These are kind of data that is obtained from the field. The primary data also is called the original data. The one who collects data got it directly from the field. Primary data means that this is, in other words, you can call it traditional. These are the kind of data that that is research or somebody obtain it directly from the field. Or in other words, the primary data we can able to call it original data. Since we call it original data, since the one who collected data got it directly from the field. Another source of data is the secondary data. Refer to the data that is collected by someone other than the primary user. Here, the difference between primary data is that primary data is that data that is obtained directly from the field, while the secondary data, here the one who finding data passing through the different books, passing reviews like Juno magazine and other sources of information that found in the library. So secondary data is not the original data, or is not kind of data that is obtained by researcher directly from the field. Here in secondary data, the researcher or the one who finds data passing through the past findings by reading books, by reading magazines, by reading Juno, and they got that kind of data. Okay, but the common source of secondary data for social science include census, the information that is collected by the government department. For example, how population data can be obtained? The population data can be obtained through the different ways. For example, they can use census to get the population data. Also, they can use the vital registration to get the population data. Okay, let us now see the basic sources of data in a population. The first one is vital registration. When we talk about the vital registration, this involves the registration of events like birth, death, marriage. In vital registration, as among the source of population data, we're focusing on looking three things. The first one is birth, death, the second, and the third one is marriage. This is a basic source of data of population. Also now, vital registration is among the basic source of data of population. When the country or an organization want to get the population data, among the categories that they use in order to obtain those data is vital registration. Since in the vital registration they look on birth, death, marriage, and hence by looking at these three things help them to get the data. It is also used to determine the number of persons added to a community over a period. It is through the vital registration the government can recognize the number of people who added to the certain community at a certain period of time. Such figures are lacking in rural area because numerous births are not registered. Registration of birth is common in town. Registration of birth is commonly practiced in town, since in town there is high population compared to the rural area. So in urban people tend to get more child compared to rural areas. So the birth rate of urban is higher compared to the birth rate of rural areas. Okay, another sources of population data is the census. When we talk about the census is a procedure of systematically calculating, acquiring, and recording information about the member of a given population. Procedure of systematically. When we say systematically, that means we pass through one stage up to the other stage. You are going to pass chronologically from one stage to another. So during conduction of census, those who conduct census, they pass through one stage up to another stage. That is why we say this is a procedure of systematically calculating, acquiring, and recording information about the member of a given population. Now let us see what are the characteristics of census. What is the characteristic of census? The first one is universality within a specified territory. Ideal for the census to be universal, it must cover the whole territory. When we say universality as among the characteristics of census, here we mean that during the conduction of census, all territory is covered. No any place should be abandoned behind. All areas, for example in Tanzania, all regions should be covered. That is why we call census, it is universality. That means it passes through all territories of a certain country. Another characteristic of census is periodicity. Periodicity, this word is derived from the word period. When we say period, it means that there is a time. Census, there is a special time that government conducts census. Regular periodicity or interval is highly necessary in census. In periodicity also here we are going to look about the interval, time interval. Hence, census are taken at a certain interval, like after every 10 years. The census, it can be in terms of time interval. There is countries that conduct census after 5 years, while other areas conduct census after 10 years. But for example, in Tanzania, we conduct census after 10 years. Specified interval help to analyze the data in more dimensional way. Why we specify interval of time here? In order to get the accurate data of information concerning about the population of the certain country. Also, UN recommends that census should be taken at a regular interval in order to get a comparable information within a fixed sequence. Also, the United Nations tend to support census to be conducted in a regular time interval in order to make the comparisons of the information maybe of this year compared to the last year. So even UN support the time interval. Census should be conducted in time interval in order to know the comparison of population information, for example, maybe from the last year and this present year. So that is why census is called it is a regular. Another characteristic of census is specificity. There are for a certain country, territory or category of people in the country and for a certain purpose, like for political and economic plan. Also, census is conducted for the specific purpose. There is a specific purpose that leads to the government to conduct census. For example, they use those information for planning the budget of a country, on how they can plan the economy, on how they can plan the infrastructure according to the information that got from the census. So there is a specific purpose that lead for conduction of census. That's why we say census characterized by specificity. There is a specific aim for conducting that census. All person or individual information is involved counting of the number of a person in certain specific country or territory, and every individual to be listed separated together with their personal characteristics. All people here are concerned to be calculated individually. Another point is simultaneity. When we say simultaneity, it means at the same time. We mean that at the same time. Census are conducted at the same time. For example, in Tanzania, if the census are conducted the whole country, we mean all region with their people will be counted. That means all regions census will pass through and the people will be counted at the same time. That's why we say census is simultaneous. That means conducted at the same time. There is no special time that divided images at the northern part of Tanzania will be counted at this month, while at the southern part of Tanzania will be counted at this month. No, there is no separation of time. It means that all take place at the same time. That is why we call it census is simultaneous. Okay, let us now see what are the types of census. This can be categorized as according to approach of underlying the census or according to the time interval. Census can be categorized into two: census according to time interval and census according to approach. Okay, let us now see according to approach. Census can be either de jure or de facto. Census can be de jure or de facto. When we say de jure census is the one in which the people are counted according to their usual place of residence, where only permanent members of the household are counted. When we talk about de jure census as among the approach of census, de jure here the person tend to be counted according to original place. Here a person counted according to the permanent place. So in the jure, we pass through homes and counted the people who are the member of the family and their permanent habitat for them to live. So in the jure, you are going to be counted according to your original place that you are born or live. Another is de facto. Census is the one in which the people are counted wherever they found on the day of enumeration. That is, all people who stayed in the household for the night and are counted. De facto, here there is no consideration of permanent settlement. Here the person tends to be counted wherever he or she lives. It doesn't matter you are permanent, you are born at Dar es Salaam, but for now you are Mtwara, you are going to be counted. There is no consideration of the permanent settlement. That is called de facto. There is no consideration that they consider during the enumeration of people. Now let's see another approach. The another approach is time interval. Things are divided even in time interval. There is quinquennial and decennial. Quinquennial are going to be counted after 5 years, while decennial tend to be counted after 10 years. So when we talk about quinquennial, refer to the census carried out after every 5 years. This is the kind of census that carried out after every 5 years. So quinquennial is the kind of census that passed after the 5 years. Another type is decennial. Decennial, this takes place after the 10 years. So now we see the difference between quinquennial and decennial. Quinquennial takes place after 5 years, while decennial takes place after the 10 years. So there is a question here which states that briefly explain the characteristic of census. Here you are going to explain those features that census have. There is a special characteristic that census must have so as to state it as the census.